we on? Yeah, I think we're on. Hi guys, welcome to podcast 2. So I'm sat in the car on my driveway. You might be thinking that's all, it's a bit weird, isn't it really? I probably agree with you, to be honest with you, but I just wanted to kind of get out the house. At this stage, like obviously being in the house, during lockdown is it's a bit, you kind of go a bit crazy, don't you? And also the walls, my neighbour's walls are, it's quite paper thin in the semi-detached house that we live in, or terraced actually. Anyway, look, I'm getting sidetracked already. Basically, welcome to podcast 2. We've made it somehow. We've made it. I want to kind of keep this quite brief. I said that I want to do sort of news and announcements. So I've got my watch, and I'm going to make sure I don't ramble too much. So first up, just want to say, thanks for the support as ever. I feel like I'm always forever saying thank you, but no, thank you basically. I've just released podcast 1 and released some ski highlights and like a bonus video. Actually today I was supposed to be in school, so I'm a teaching assistant by trade, and I was actually supposed to be at secondary school, basically looking after the key workers' children, and yours truly basically got the wrong day, so I don't actually have to be back in school for another 2 weeks, which is rather pleasing, I must say. So it basically means I've got full steam ahead on the vlog. Let's do the YouTube channel. Let's do this. But no, in all seriousness, I just want to sort of say that I think it's time to give you a bit more what you want. I think, I've experimented with other videos, ski highlights. Do people want to see that? Probably not, unless you're on the holiday, you probably don't really want to see that, and that's fair enough. Podcast, do you really want a podcast? Maybe. Well, I'll probably sort of force it down your throats a little bit, but no, on the podcast I'm going to be a bit more jokey, a bit more kind of light-hearted, even though this is obviously quite a dark sort of subject. Not necessarily always dark, but lessons I learned during my 20s. We'll come on to that shortly, after the news and the announcements, after this first bit. So there we go. But no, I think it's time to kind of just give you a bit more straight up vlogs. Just me talking to the camera, just telling it how it is. Obviously I want to do some edits and stuff, but I've got so much stuff in the archives that I can release. That's from like 2 or 3 years ago. So I think I'm going to sort of just sporadically put videos out as well. Like I think I've been really strict with myself. Like, I must release stuff on a Sunday. Like I'm some frigging TV channel. Like premiering a. Is that how you say it? Premiering. Sorry, I can't really pronounce my words. It's not very good if doing a podcast. Basically, yeah, kind of making it some sort of big thing, like on a Sunday. I'm going to release videos on a Sunday. But actually, I think in actual fact, just release them as and when. Do you know what I mean? I think there is such a thing as too much footage, too much content. But at this stage, I'm quite happy to just put stuff out there, really. So anyway, we've almost had 5 minutes of an intro. Who knows? Will this make the final podcast? Will this make the final edit? No, one last thing I wanted to say, actually, I've just done, I've kind of got massively sidetracked. So yeah, was supposed to be at school today, didn't end up going, so I ended up recording a vlog. So you should hopefully see that. I think I might even just sort of uploaded that. So, a bit more off the cuff, bit more kind of less kind of spammy. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm that person on Instagram that's now kind of going, check my vlog out. You need to check my vlog out. And obviously, you guys, brilliant. If you're going from Instagram to YouTube, fantastic. But I think there's going to come a point pretty soon where I'm just going to stop doing that, and we'll just stick on YouTube. Anyway, that's been one hell of a long intro. As I sit here swigging a coffee, just to kind of tell you about my surroundings. I've got. Obviously got the steering wheel, so this is ridiculous. You got your sort of, steering wheels, your gear sticks. No, I've got my lesson notes. I've got my podcast notes. So anyway, I think it's time to kind of crack on. So I don't know if this is going to be cut, and we'll cut to a little bit of music before we come on to, build the suspense onto the main event. Right, basically, I have got lessons I learned during my 20s. I have got well over 20, 25 bullet points written down. I've no idea how this will go. I feel like this should be serious. I think I started off the aim of the podcast has been quite a serious kind of thing, really. You know, a little bit sort of deep and dark, and I'm sure we will dive into those. But clearly, the way I present and come across, I think it's a bit more jokey. And you know, I do want to come across quite serious, but I'm also conscious of the fact that, you know, this might be a bit of a joke. Anyway, so look, I'm just going to fire through the bullet points and maybe just tell a couple of anecdotes. And I think this is really going to set the scene for the rest of the podcast episodes, really. Actually, that's another thing. I've got to slow down. Last week I was like motoring through, but I think I've got to slow my voice down, slow my tone down. I've got myself a nice big coffee. And well, should we just get on with it? Yeah, should we just get on with it? Okay, right. Bullet point 1. Avoid. I say don't do drugs, but it's crossed out don't do, and it's avoid drugs. Yeah, I mean that goes without saying, really. Obviously, your good drugs, you know, your paracetamols and that, obviously they're good. Your Nurophens, they're not bad. You know, your ibuprofens as well. But in all seriousness, obviously avoid doing drugs. You know, I am going to be truthful. I have done drugs before. I have possibly done illicit, illegal substances. But no, I would say just avoid doing drugs. It's not very good. It's not very good. In a way, I was quite glad that I've done it. I'm kind of glad that I've done it, you know, to sort of say, yeah, I've done it. You know, I was there back in my 20s, in my youth. I did take drugs. But I would say, hand on heart, just don't do them, basically. Anyway, next bullet point. Don't, crossed out, to avoid gambling. A big one for me, actually. I'm going to be semi-serious, actually. I used to be a big gambler. I don't do it anymore. Like, straight up, don't do it anymore. I lost an awful lot of money. It's a subject that I, firmly believe is wrong. I think I'm going to actually make a separate podcast about gambling, actually. I think that could be next week's, possibly. But it's something I do feel quite strongly about. I think it's an awful thing. I think gambling addiction is massive at the moment. Or it's something that kind of gets swept under the carpet. But anyway, I'll do another podcast on that. But yeah, avoid gambling. That's what I would say. Family is important. I think that goes without saying, really. Obviously, I think it's nice to have your family around and nice to see them. And family can mean your mums and dads and your brothers and sisters, but it also can mean your family that you create. Obviously, I'm of that age now. I'm 30, and I'm thinking about things and thinking, well, I probably want kids. Will I have kids soon? Well, maybe, but I don't know. You need money for kids, don't you? And at the moment, don't really have much money. Anyway, but no, family is important. That's very important. Don't, which is crossed out to avoid. Avoid smoke. I think that means avoid smoking. A little fact for you here, guys. I sort of started socially smoking and then became a smoker. Not like a 20 a day, maybe just like 2 or 3 rollies a day. But I did become a smoker. I'm really proud to say this, genuinely. 4.5 weeks clean. 4.5 weeks without smoking. So that's been a big one, actually. And you do it at first, don't you? You think you're cool. You do it at the bar. I think I used to do it at the Tram and Social with Tom and Louis, and I'd be out in the smoking area, be like, oh, actually, it's quite sociable, isn't it? Like, if you smoke. So started to, try and chat girls up. It was like, oh, can I borrow your lighter? Even though I didn't smoke. Then it was, well, this is a bit awkward because I don't actually have a cigarette, and they're looking at me now because I've just got their lighter. So it was then like, oh, well, I need to have a cigarette. So started to do that, and then habits kind of creep in, don't they? Then you're kind of having a few cigarettes in the evenings on a Friday, Then you're buying your Marlboro Golds and having them in the afternoon on a Wednesday. It's dangerous habit. I do remember like chain smoking in my old Dedra, my beaten up Lancia Dedra. Great car, by the way, got smashed into. Another story. But I do remember, I used to drive back from Newbury to Tooting, where I lived, and no word of a lie, it was back in the days when you could have like a 10 deck, 10 cigarettes, and I used to smoke 8 or 9 in one journey, Marlboro menthols. Apparently I've seen menthols are now becoming illegal, but anyway, moving on. Let's up the tone a little bit. Exercise is good for you. Well, it's obvious, isn't it, really? Exercise, big part of my life. I don't know about you, but I find that if you don't exercise, I actually feel like pretty rubbish. And exercise is good because it makes you tired in the evening. And also you feel good about yourself, don't you? You look at yourself and think, oh, I look better, or I feel better. I don't need to talk about exercise too much. I think everybody knows it's obviously good for you. The next point is also quite obvious. Diet is good for you. So I'm feeling a bit tired. I feel like this is what I mean. I've only done this for 10 minutes. I'm like, how am I going to make this half an hour? I'm feeling a bit knackered. Not going to lie, guys. I might have to go for a little lie down in a minute. Pardon me. Oh, God. You're listening to a podcast with a person that's too tired to make the podcast. Anyway, diet is good for you. Obviously, avoid your McDonald's and stuff like that. Let's just whiz through the next few, I think. Routine and structure is good for you. Again, goes without saying. Routine and structure. I used to have lack of routine. When I was back when I was self-employed, I used to just get up whenever I wanted, go to bed whenever I wanted. Didn't have any kind of routine or structure, and it was just hellish. After sort of 6-7 years of doing that, it just honestly turned me mental. I swear. Other things as well, but that really didn't help. Okay, bit of a dark one. Depression and anxiety are a part of life. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say everyone that's listening, if you haven't had it, or if you never, if you've never had it, you're going to get it. But I think a lot of people kind of have it, and I didn't really know what it was. And I think looking back, it's probably mostly related to stress. But then a lot of things like gambling, losing money, not having structure, not having routine, having a failing business or business that kind of went to the wayside, it really kind of weighed on me. And I think more than ever now, during this pandemic, I think a lot of people are sloping into that depression. So I can speak hand on heart and say I've experienced it. There are days when I do experience it. It's just a really weird subject. It's just a very odd subject to talk about, basically, because if you've not had it, or even if you've had it, you don't know you've had it because it's just odd. But you just feel like an absolute idiot. You don't really want to talk to anyone. Anxiety as well. I used to have panic attacks as well. Really, really strange. Really, really strange. Maybe if you want to talk to me about that separately, that's fine. I'd probably rather do that, to be honest with you. So obviously you can message me or email is a.g.lewis@hotmail.co.uk. Anyway, that's it's quite a heavy thing, isn't it? Okay, moving on to something a bit more beautiful. Appreciate the world's beauty. Well, have a bit of gratitude, isn't it? Look at the sun. Look at the blue skies. Look at the clouds. What clouds have we got today? We've got these sort of fluffy clouds, really. Not clouds that you can sort of tell anything from. Sometimes you look at clouds and you can kind of make a picture from them. But anyway, just look at your colours. Look at your bricks. Look at your fences. Your panelling, your bricks. Repeating myself. Appreciate the world's beauty. Are you a sea person? Are you a countryside person? That sort of thing, really. Another bullet point, lessons I learned during my 20s. Don't worry about what other people think of you. I probably still do worry about that, and I think it's easy to say that, isn't it? Because we all value each other's opinion. I think we all sort of think, have I said something I shouldn't have there, or whatever. I'm a big overthinker, but don't overthink it too much. I actually met a person at craft camp last year. God bless him. He's still alive, but God bless him. And he'd had a massive, I think, a motorcycle accident. And basically, he'd had a big brain injury, and he was in a coma in intensive care for a long time. And he had to kind of piece his life back together. And when he did, the surgeon said to him, "Don't overthink things. Just go with your soul, go with your heart." And I remember I actually cried at that point because I was particularly down, really, really down in the dumps at that craft camp. That was the pinnacle of like my life had just become really odd. And this was only last year, about 8-9 months ago. And actually had to nip to the loo and just had a cry. Not a big like sobbing cry, but a bit, tears in the eyes, because it was just like, come on, mate. I was saying to myself, like, come on, mate, you've not got it this bad. Like, you've had a really good upbringing. What's wrong with myself? Like, what is wrong with me? This guy was quite inspirational, but there we go. Be polite and look people in the eye. Something I couldn't do for a long time. I could always be polite, but I couldn't look people in the eyes to look at people and think, like, which eye should I look in? Should I look in their left eye or their right eye? Am I looking at both of their eyes? Or, like, if I look at them, am I staring them out? Or, will they think I'm weird that I'm looking in them? I was really really shifty, and I just couldn't look at people in the eye. I just felt my head was just really all over the place. Like, it felt like I'm staring people out, and I'm like, I don't want to intimidate you. I don't know, it was just really typical overthinker. But anyway, goes without saying, be polite and look people in the eye. Being polite, I think, nice manners. I've got a chap that I teach the drums to, and he's an adult, he's in his 50s, and he is a carpenter, and he's like, Alex, the amount of business I've got from just being polite. So, like, if you enter someone's house, you ask, do you take your shoes off or not? Anyway, there we go. Moving on. Be careful of watching too many conspiracy videos, guys. Just, be careful about that. I watched an awful lot of conspiracy videos, and it may be kind of batshit crazy. Like, is the Queen a lizard? Is the Earth flat? Did we go to the moon? Did Bush do 9/11? That kind of thing, really. And after a while, you kind of believe it, and you kind of go a bit mad, and then you think everyone else is mad, but it's actually just you. Anyway, I think it's good to question things and authority, but I just, got really like anti-government and, that kind of thing. Like, oh, it's the bloody Illuminati and all this sort of shit. So just careful of that, guys. Next bullet point, it's okay to fail. It is okay to fail. It is okay to fail. I mean, like, this is all going to come across as quite self-helpy, isn't it? But it's just experience, really, that I've had. But, like, it's all right. If it goes wrong, screw it, We've all got a perfect image in your head. It's like the perfect image of, like, when I do these vlogs, it's like, you look at people who've got loads of views on their videos and you think, oh my God, the editing's really good. But I think the beauty is in, like, perfection doesn't exist. There we go. Perfection does not exist. There's no such thing as perfection. There's my philosophy for the day. There's no such thing as 10 out of 10. It's a genuine 9 out of 10. You can't get a 10 out of 10. Seriously, you can't. So get over it, guys. Get over yourselves. Anyway, bit tough love. I think I'm going to have to give you a bit of tough love. But yeah, it's okay to fail. Like I've said, had a failing business, a business idea that kind of was a business, but it failed. To do with like an online drumming thing. Maybe I'll go into that in more detail another time. But it was okay to fail. It really stressed me out. I learned how to present on camera. And got a like fancy microphone, and you've seen those lights that I've used for some of the videos. But just kind of went batshit crazy and thought I was something, but I wasn't. And I don't know. We kind of made small waves. It was like 2015, 2016. It was just like that second wave of the internet, and we made like a nice little product, but we it just never kind of got off the ground. But anyway, that's another story for another time. But it really sort of cut me up for quite a while. Don't watch the news. Yeah, avoid watching the news. I mean, loads of people are obviously watching it at the moment to do with the whole coronavirus thing, and that's all right, but it just makes you, it kind of puts you in a box, doesn't it? And you kind of get sucked in. I don't know about you, but I find watching the news by and large makes me angry. It makes me quite like frustrated, and there's nothing ever really kind of positive put on the news, really. It's all kind of fear mongering and like the rate of crime and all this sort of stuff. The rate of crime, guys, seriously, has never been lower in this country, period. So get over it, Oh dear. Anyway, it's getting quite political here, I feel. I also feel like if you're listening to me, my vibe's kind of going off. Like I've mentioned, I'm getting a bit tired, guys. I'm getting a bit tired. I'm going to have to go for a little lie down. Charlie Hunt, my good friend who did the Q&A, by the way, he rings me like quite a lot of the time, and I keep missing his calls, and I'm like, mate, I'm really sorry, I've just had a nap. So, Anyway, there we go. Having a pet calms you down? Well, I think that goes without saying, really. Actually, one thing that got me through, like, sort of a bit of salvation, really, was like I moved back to my mum and dad's house like many a time in my 20s, but like just walking the dogs, it's so chill. It is so calm. I think a lot of people will probably nod your head and go, yeah, I agree, because it's just like, I don't know, you walk the dogs, fresh air, exercise. Like, dogs don't talk to you; they just sort of look at you, and you can stroke them, and they lick you, and you kind of like smell them and kiss them, and I don't know. It's just that, you can sit down by the sofa and sort of like chill with them. They're just really nice. And actually, we've got cats here as well. Actually, moving in with Eleanor, she's a big fan of the cats, and I used to be like, oh, cats, they're crap. Like, I'm such a sort of dog person. Like, cats are crap. But actually, I'm a bit of both. So I do bat for both teams. Just saying. Bat cats and dogs, obviously. So take holidays and go on adventures. Yeah, obviously take holidays. Again, I didn't go on holiday for a long time, and you need it. You need to take a bit of time off. And I feel as well, like, even with this vlog thing, I've been doing this now, like, being hammer to the tongue, hammer to the nail for like the last 3 weeks, and doing it every day, seriously. And already I'm feeling like I just maybe need to just take like 1 or 2 days off, like getting kind of square eyes from the computer screen and stuff like that. So obviously, take holidays, go on adventures. A couple of years ago, for those of you that have followed me on Instagram, I went on a cruise ship. We got fired. That's another story that will come out in a separate vlog or a few videos or whatever. But yeah, went on an adventure. Drove to Brecon Beach. That's it. I stayed overnight in a tent. I don't know why I didn't capture any of this on GoPro. It's ridiculous. It would have made an amazing vlog. Basically, it was like, right, screw it. I was kind of still a bit crazy. It's like, right, I'm going to go camping on my own. I'm going to just put a tent in the car, bought myself a little stove. I'm going to go wild camping, field camp, just do it. Anyway, left at like 7:30. Bear in mind, it was getting dark. It was in July, so like, after summer solstice. And it was getting dark. And basically I was like, right, well, I'm going to have to go camp. And it got as far, I was past Stock Cross. I thought, I'm going to have to stop here. So stopped in a field near Stock Cross, which is near Newbury, only about 20 minutes down the road, 15 minutes down the road. I was like, shit, I'm going to have to like camp up here. So I camped in like a farmer's field, hardly slept. It was really scary, like all those noises and like, animals being around you. Hardly slept a wink. Woke up at like 5:30, packed the tent up because I got really scared that there might be, people that would see me. Jumped, didn't jump in the car, but, got in the car, drove to Membry Services, had a shower, didn't realise, by the way, guys, you can have a shower for free. You can just go to WH Smith's and say, can I have the key for the shower? They think you're a lorry driver. Anyway, had a shower, freshened up, thought, screw it, let's go to Bath. So I went to Bath, then had a coffee, was like, screw it, let's go to Bristol. Went to Bristol, it rained for lunch. So like, screw it, let's go to the Brecon Beacons. So we went to the Brecon Beacons. Got to about 2 o'clock and I was like, I am flagging. Like, what have I done? Like, what am I doing? Anyway, I was just like, actually, screw it, let's keep going. So I just drove to Snowdon. That same day, I drove up to Snowdon. And the next day, I was climbing Snowdon. So, love it. Up the Ranger Path, if any of you know it. Met a few people. Actually, no, I can say this because I was split up with Eleanor. Basically, met a Lithuanian girl at the top of the mountain, and that was that. But loved it. Like, basically got up there in record time. Anyway, this is going far too long. But yeah, go on an adventure. Oh, and then I went up to Scotland, and then I came back and went to the Lake District, and then I came back. No, I actually also went to Newcastle to see Tom Leroy in Northumberland. Anyway, it was one hell of an adventure. And there we go. I've summed it up in about 3 minutes. Right, moving on. We've only got a few minutes left. I'm going to have to whiz through these now. Avoid watching too much porn. Yeah, definitely. It screws you over and it makes you just like, it's just a bit odd. But that's a big thing, porn addiction. I want to talk about that in another podcast. That's a taboo thing, but it's true. In my opinion, avoid going on your phone too much. Yes, definitely true. Definitely true. I think we all know that. It's just weird, isn't it? The last 10 years, smartphones came about. So long ago, we'd look back and think, you'd watch James Bond and he'd like, check his room for a bug. And now we've got these mobile phones and we're just being able to, what is going on with our data? Has 5G really given Us coronavirus. That's another conspiracy. Anyway, avoid spreading yourself too thinly. Metaphorically, of course, we're talking here. You know, I am that sort of person that says yes to a lot of things. And I feel that, like, I have quite a few friendship groups, but I don't feel like I'm able to give like 100% to each group, if that makes sense. So avoid spreading yourself too thinly. If anything, have fewer friends, I think, and that's fine. But no, I do like it. I think the other reason for doing these vlogs is so I can almost give you a bit more of me. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, if you're a friend listening to this. Next bullet point, a job is a job. A job is a job, you know. It's a job. Get over it. Like, even if, you know, you're doing something like football. Like, I used to run this thing called Hot Shots Football. And after a while, it was like, oh, it's a hobby. It's like it's running a football thing. This is easy. But it became a job. You know, it was ultimately a job. Like becoming a drummer or drum teacher, you're like, oh, this is fun. But it is a job. You have to remember it is a job. So even if you're doing something fun, like, it'd be like, oh, right, I'd love to run a pub because I can drink every day. Well, yeah, but it's a job. Do you know what I mean? So it's fine. Don't panic. Learn how to cook. Well, I love my cooking. I've got into that during my 20s. I couldn't cook before. Used to literally just have take microwave rice with chopped chorizo and a bit of grated cheddar. Absolutely, loved it, by the way. But then found a mouse in an Uncle Ben's packet, so stopped doing that. Learned how to cook. Also, probably with the aid of getting into the old wacky backy. The old taste buds were peaking. Avoid late nights. Well, that kind of goes into the routine thing. Don't get to bed too late. It's just stupid. Question authority. Well, I kind of said that already. Right, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, let's just go through it. I've still got about 10 bullet points. Save your money. Yeah, I used to be crap with money, but save it. But also let your hair down once a week. Another bullet point. Let your hair down once a week. I think it's important. We can get stuck into, good sleep, good. I'm going back on everything I've said. But, let your hair down. Have a night off, Saturday night, get pissed, have it large. Don't do drugs, but just have a big night, let your hair down. Get out of your overdraft. For many years, we've been in my overdraft. I've only just got out of it now after putting myself into thousands of pounds of debt at 23. Yeah, about 23, 24. Next bullet point, sleep with as many people as you want before you settle down. Just like if you're a bloke anyway, like I speak as a bloke because I am a bloke and I'm speaking to you because I'm a bloke talking to blokes. But if you're a girl listening to this, you're probably like, oh, fuck off, mate. Like, come on, you dick. But sleep with as many people as you want. You put on this earth to reproduce. Go and reproduce. Go forth and multiply. I sound like God now.
This is God speaking.
Anyway, question the idea of death. Nice and light for you there. Think about it. Yeah, think about it. I, for a long time, thought about death. And I started to fear it, but then started to kind of get on board with it. And I now actually, from time to time, think about people who are dead. I think about Martin Nickel quite a lot. I think about Rob. I don't know his surname, but Matty Ross's stepdad. Rob, quite a lot. Like, didn't know him that well, but sometimes I think of his face. Think of my Nana and Papa. I think of Grandad Gordon and Nanny Josie. God bless her. Never met her. I think of a couple of girls at university. Amy Duffield, who died really young, and I think of another girl. I forget her name. I think she was called Sarah, a doctor who lost her life at like 21 or something. It's just awful. So. Yeah, you're not put on this earth for long, so, there we go. You will never know it all. I thought I used to know it all, but I, didn't. I still don't. I used to think, that was it. It was 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And I was like, yeah, I know it all. Like, don't need anyone's help. I know it all. As well, in your 20s, you're still young. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. What I would say as well, your late 20s are very odd. You kind of fully become an adult. As a bloke, you kind of stop growing at 25, which is quite late. So your brain fully develops. And that period from 25 to 30 is really odd. I found it very, very odd. Your late 20s was just bizarre. Like, am I an adult? Or like you start to see like, oh, that's a grey hair, or like I look a bit like wrinkly, or like oh, my teeth are a bit wonky, or you just start to sort of see things go a bit wrong, and it's a bit of a weird one to get your head round. Last 2 bullet points. This is going to go over half an hour. Sorry, guys. The mainstream world is bizarre. I think it is very bizarre. Like at the moment, PC it's like PC madness. You can't say too many things because people kind of jump on it, and politics is just bizarre. I'm going to say things. It's just in my opinion. I'm going to say it, but like, obviously, if you're transgender, that's fine. But why has it been shoved in our faces? Like, it's a small part of the population. And I would question, like, are people becoming more inclined to be transgender because it's in our faces? Do you know what I mean? I know that will divide opinion, but hey, it's my podcast. I can say what I like. Anyway, there we go. Last point. Don't waste your time with politics. There we go. That has been lessons I learned during my 20s. I hope you've enjoyed that. I think some semi-serious stuff in there, but also I feel like I've gone on a little bit of a rant at times. I'm sure hopefully you've drawn some comedy from that. I don't know. Anyway, I've finished my coffee, or near, there or thereabouts. The sun has come out. The sun has got his hat on. Hip hip hooray. I'm going to listen back to this and see if it's any good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Taking your time out of your day to listen to this. It's been awesome that people have got in touch and people are listening to it who I didn't think would be. So shout out to you, Sophie Gardner, if you're listening to it, and people like Steph Townsend, other people, obviously lots of blokes as well, but girls as well. So Steph Mackey as well. Big up to you. That's it. So anyway, you've been listening to podcast 2. Thank you and good night.